Welcome to Overtime Stories. If you're new here, take a moment to subscribe and join the journey. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and every bit of support truly means a lot.
Pete Carroll didn't waste time, and the league felt it immediately. After Shedeur Sanders' first NFL start, Carroll stepped to the mic and delivered what insiders are calling the most honest breakdown yet. No fluff, no hype, no protection. Carroll focused less on the stat line and more on what actually matters to veteran coaches: command, poise, and survival instincts. He reportedly praised Sanders for staying upright mentally while chaos unfolded around him, especially behind protection that broke down faster than expected. That alone caught attention. Carroll emphasized that young quarterbacks don't get judged on perfection, they get judged on response. Response to pressure, response to mistakes, response to noise. According to insiders, Carroll pointed out how Sanders didn't fold us after early hits, didn't rush his mechanics, and didn't start forcing hero throws when the game tilted. That observation hit hard because it cut through all the surface-level takes. Flooding social media. Carroll also noted moments Sanders could have sped things up, calling it a processing lesson, not a flaw. That distinction matters. Veterans across the league recognized it instantly. Carroll's tone wasn't praise or warning. It was evaluation, cold, sharp, and experienced. Carroll referenced Sanders' eye discipline, noting flashes of high-level anticipation mixed with rookie hesitation. That mix is expected. What isn't expected is how quickly Sanders adjusted protections and communicated checks despite limited reps. Carroll reportedly highlighted that detail specifically, saying it showed leadership wiring. That comment traveled fast. Coaches don't compliment wiring unless they see something real. Carroll also addressed the pressure storm around Sanders, saying outside noise means nothing once the ball is snapped. That line landed heavy given the media chaos surrounding the debut. Analysts interpreted Carroll's comments as validation without inflation. Not crowning, not condemning, just real. That's why it shook things up. When a Super Bowl winning coach speaks that plainly, front offices listen.
Sorry to interrupt, but hit that subscribe button real quick. It really helps the channel grow.
Carroll's assessment circulated internally across multiple teams within hours, not because it was dramatic, but because it was precise. He didn't talk upside. He talked foundation. Foundation is everything at quarterback. Sanders didn't dominate, but he didn't disappear. Carroll sees that as survival stage progress. That's rare honesty in a league addicted to extremes. The truth bomb wasn't loud, it was surgical. And that made it louder than any headline screaming praise or panic. The reaction to Carroll's comments spread fast, and it wasn't just fans talking. Several veteran quarterbacks privately agreed with the assessment, saying Sanders showed calm under fire, something that can't be coached easily. Carroll reportedly mentioned that Sanders never looked sped up, even when protection collapsed repeatedly. That detail jumped off film. Young quarterbacks usually rush their feet when pressure mounts. Sanders didn't. He absorbed hits, reset, and kept scanning. That matters. Carroll also pointed out that Sanders took what the defense gave him instead of chasing highlights. That's discipline. Discipline keeps quarterbacks employed. Analysts noted that Carroll avoided calling the performance great or disappointing. Instead, he labeled it honest. That word carried weight. Honest means the tape matched the moment. No smoke, no mirage. Carroll's evaluation reportedly focused on situational snaps, especially third downs and red zone sequences. He acknowledged mistakes, including a late throw that nearly turned costly, but framed it as a timing adjustment, not decision panic. That framing calmed some of the louder narratives. Carroll emphasized that Sanders stayed connected to the play call, even after hits. That shows trust. Trust between quarterback and system is fragile early. Sanders didn't lose it. Carroll also addressed Sanders' body language, noting no visible frustration, no sideline sulking, no finger pointing. That's leadership behavior. Analysts jumped on that immediately. Body language reveals mindset. Carroll's words validated what film showed. This wasn't a quarterback overwhelmed by the stage. It was a quarterback processing a harsh introduction. Carroll reportedly said the league tests quarterbacks before it rewards them. That line felt aimed at expectations, not Sanders. Insiders say Carroll respects quarterbacks who survive turbulence without blinking. That's how careers start. The league noticed the subtext. Carroll wasn't hyping. He was signaling patience. That patience isn't weakness, it's experience. Coaches who've seen stars rise and fall know the difference between noise and substance. Carroll's truth bomb stripped the moment down to essentials. Can the quarterback stay steady when everything around him isn't? Sanders passed that test. Not perfectly, but clearly. That's why Carroll's words mattered more than any hot take. They weren't emotional, they were instructional. And when that kind of evaluation hits the public, it reshapes the conversation fast. Inside league circles, Carroll's comments triggered deeper discussion about Sanders' trajectory. Front offices immediately revisited the tape with Carroll's lens in mind, focusing on process instead of production. That shift changed the tone. Instead of counting completions, evaluators looked at foot placement, pocket movement, and eye discipline. Sanders graded higher in those areas than expected for a first start. Carroll's remarks gave permission to slow the conversation down. That's rare. Analysts highlighted how Sanders consistently reset his base after pressure instead of drifting backward. That's advanced. Carroll also referenced Sanders' willingness to throw the ball away, calling it professional. That word matters. Throwing it away isn't flashy, but it extends careers. Carroll specifically noted one sequence where Sanders checked down instead of forcing a contested shot, preserving field position. That's maturity. Critics had to adjust their angle. The narrative couldn't stay stuck on stats once a coach like Carroll reframed the performance. Sanders didn't win the game, but he didn't lose himself. That distinction became central. Carroll's comments also indirectly highlighted team issues, particularly protection breakdowns and play pacing. Without naming names, he made it clear Sanders wasn't operating in ideal conditions. Analysts caught that instantly. When a coach that respected speaks carefully, every word counts. Carroll avoided blame language but emphasized environment. Quarterbacks don't develop in isolation, they develop in structure. Sanders operated within chaos and stayed functional. That's a baseline win. Carroll compared Sanders' debut to early starts he's seen from quarterbacks who later stabilized into long-term starters. That comparison wasn't public, but insiders shared it quietly. The league heard it anyway. Carroll's truth bomb didn't inflate expectations, it grounded them. That grounding may protect Sanders more than hype ever could. Pressure kills development faster than failure. Carroll's framing reduced pressure by normalizing struggle. That's veteran coaching wisdom. The takeaway was clear. Sanders belongs. He's not finished. He's not fragile. He's learning. That's all a first start should prove. And hearing that from Carroll shifted the entire temperature around the conversation. Media reaction followed quickly, but it couldn't override Carroll's credibility. Analysts tried spinning the comments both ways, but the core message stayed intact. Carroll saw foundation. He saw calm. He saw survivability. Multiple network panels adjusted their tone mid-segment after Carroll's quotes circulated. That doesn't happen often. Carroll also reportedly praised Sanders' sideline communication, noting how he stayed engaged between series. That's critical. Young quarterbacks often retreat inward after mistakes. Sanders didn't. He stayed present. Carroll emphasized that trait as rare. Rare traits get protected. The commentary also reignited discussion about patience in quarterback development. Carroll's words reminded everyone that early judgment ruins progress. The league chews quarterbacks up fast. Carroll's truth bomb slowed the chewing. Insiders say Sanders' camp welcomed the comments, not because they were glowing, but because they were fair. Fair evaluations are gold. Carroll didn't sugarcoat the missed reads or late throws. He simply contextualized them. Context matters. Without context, criticism turns toxic. Carroll avoided that trap. Analysts pointed out that Carroll has no incentive to protect Sanders publicly. That made the comments stronger. No agenda, just football. Several defensive players also reacted, saying Sanders didn't flinch. That's respect language. Defensive respect is earned through composure. Carroll's voice amplified that quietly. The narrative shifted from pressure to process. Process builds careers. The league noticed. This wasn't a coronation or a warning. It was a mirror. Carroll held it up and let the tape speak. That's why the moment felt bigger than a quote. It felt like a checkpoint. Sanders crossed it. Not cleanly, not loudly. But honestly, that's how long roads begin. And the league understands that better now. The deeper impact of Carroll's comments landed in coaching rooms across the NFL. Quarterback coaches replayed the evaluation in meetings, using it as a teaching reference. Not hype, not criticism, teaching. Carroll's emphasis on response over result became the headline internally. That's how coaches talk. Sanders' debut became a case study, not a spectacle. Carroll's words also reframed pressure narratives, reminding everyone that growth happens under stress, not comfort. Analysts noted that Sanders didn't shrink his throws after mistakes. He didn't freeze. He adjusted. That's resilience. Carroll values resilience above raw arm talent. Always has. Carroll said the league tests who you are before it tests what you can do. That line echoed. Sanders passed the first test. The second comes later. The commentary also quieted some extreme takes calling for immediate conclusions. Carroll's voice carried authority. Authority calms chaos. That calm matters for Sanders' next start. The spotlight won't fade, but the lens might sharpen. Carroll didn't add pressure. He clarified expectations. That's a gift in this league. Analysts now frame Sanders as a work in progress with real tools, not a headline experiment. That shift changes how defenses prepare and how coaches support. Carroll's truth bomb landed exactly where it needed to, on the process, on the human side of quarterbacking, on survival. That's football reality. And now the conversation sounds smarter because of it. This moment may end up being bigger than the debut itself, and the league feels that. Carroll's comments recalibrated how Sanders will be judged moving forward. No rushing, no labeling, just progress tracking. That's rare air for a young quarterback. Sanders didn't walk away crowned or crushed. He walked away evaluated. That's respect. Carroll's truth bomb didn't shake confidence, it stabilized it. Analysts agree the next few starts will matter, but now they'll be viewed through a clearer lens, growth lens. Carroll reminded everyone that quarterbacks aren't built in one afternoon. They're forged over months, that patience protects development. Sanders earned that protection with composure, not stats. The league noticed, coaches noticed, defenders noticed. That's how reputations begin, quietly, authentically. This wasn't hype. It was football truth. Momentum around Shedeur Sanders shifted again after Pete Carroll's comments, and now the league's response is getting louder in subtle ways. Teams that were previously quiet about Sanders are now adjusting internal scouting language, moving him from experimental to developmental priority. That shift matters. Developmental priority means patience, resources, and long-term investment. Carroll's evaluation didn't just affect media tone, it altered how Sanders is viewed inside buildings. Coaches are now studying how he handled early adversity rather than replaying isolated mistakes. That's a meaningful pivot. Sanders' first start is being reframed as a baseline, not a verdict. Carroll helped create that space. Several defensive coordinators noted that Sanders never stopped communicating protections, even after repeated hits. That detail stands out. Communication under stress is rare for rookies. Rare traits travel fast in this league. The buzz isn't loud praise, it's quiet respect. Quiet respect lasts longer. Analysts say this moment could protect Sanders from overcorrection, where systems panic and change too fast. Carroll's words slowed that impulse. Slower decisions build better quarterbacks. Sanders now enters the next stretch with expectations grounded in growth, not spectacle. That's healthier. The pressure remains, but it's structured pressure. Structured pressure teaches. Chaos destroys. Carroll understands that difference. The truth bomb wasn't designed to headline shows. It was designed to set context. And context shapes careers. Sanders' demeanor in meetings has stayed consistent, focused, and calm. That consistency aligns with Carroll's assessment. Consistency earns trust. Trust earns reps. Reps build command. This isn't a coronation chapter, it's a stabilization chapter. Those often matter more. The league now watches to see if the environment supports the growth Carroll identified. Support determines trajectory. Sanders did his part by staying composed. Now the system must meet him there. If it does, this debut becomes a foundation story. If it doesn't, pressure returns fast. Carroll's comments bought time, not guarantees. Time is a valuable currency in the NFL. Sanders has it now. What happens next depends on execution, clarity, and leadership alignment across the sideline. The truth bomb settled the noise for a moment. The next performances decide whether that calm holds or cracks under brighter lights. That evaluation window now stretches forward, giving coaches room to coach instead of rush decisions. Patience changes. Play calling, practice tempo, and how mistakes are addressed publicly. Sanders benefits most when teaching replaces protecting. The league respects that approach. Carroll's comments reinforced it. Every rookie needs a veteran voice to normalize struggle. That voice landed at the right time. The spotlight stays bright, but the panic dimmed. Development can breathe again. This phase tests discipline. Progress rarely moves in straight lines. Sanders remains in the learning lane, where repetition matters more than reaction. Coaches now have reference points instead of guesswork. That reduces fear. Reduced fear sharpens execution. Execution builds confidence. Confidence steadies teams. That ripple effect matters, and truth travels far in this league. Stay locked in for what comes next, like the video, and subscribe for more real breakdowns as Shedeur Sanders' story keeps unfolding.